To the lucky 13th episode of Board in Trouble. I'm your host, John X. And you know how luck works. It's just me and my boy, Mr. Robert Brooks.
I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm happy. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah. Mr. Brooks. What's the good
I
Brooks?
sing because I'm free.
So tell me something, bro. Where you been at,
What?
man? How you been? We missed you last week. How you been, man?
I've been all over, man. I've been all over. I had was on the road for a little bit. Then the team came home and had to deal with some other stuff. So we good. We good though.
Well, I know the people don't know this, but you got to spend some time with America's sweetheart, Beyonce.
Yeah. I got to go see the Queen. I got to go watch the worship service. Maybe that's why I was singing church songs, because I got to go watch the worship service for Beyonce.
What's it like in there? What's it like going to a Beyonce concert at this age? I mean, did you wear your Beyonce t-shirt or what was that like? No,
Come
no
on.
Beyonce
Come
t-shirt.
on.
Bro?
You know,
All right, bro.
I was me, and I felt like probably felt like somebody like who dropped in on the Rocky Horror Picture Show and like a midnight showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but had never seen it, knew nothing about it. Like how am I the only person that doesn't know every lyric to every song?
Well, you're not a member
Am I
of the Beehive.
Am I the only person that's not? I'm not a member of the Beehive. The like Blue Ivy came out to dance.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was a no judgment zone all of a sudden. Because
suddenly it was a no judgment zone. And she can do no wrong. Like they've already the pedestal of that young lady's on is well above her ability to negotiate her way down from there. It's going to be rough. But at one point, like, it was so ridiculous. Like, the show began, and this white woman behind me, about 3 rows behind me, screams out, "It's Beyonce! I can't believe she's here!" Which would be quite a rational response, except you paid $275 to sit in a room that she was going to perform in. It should not really be that remarkable that she's here.
I guess remarkable depends on the eye of the beholder. So,
and then I had a moment later in the show when she broke into her version of "Before I Let Go."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
And there was a white woman about 3 rows in front of us, but a little bit off to the left. And she was in on every word. Everything Beyonce had to say that evening, she was co-signing. But when she started singing "Before I Let Go," she had one hand on her heart and was waving the other one in the air like this. She's like, "I think the sun rises." And I was like, God damn it, Beyonce done giving away our fucking song.
Wow.
That was our song. We
it.
had that.
That's Frankie Beverly.
And now, yeah, that was us.
Well, the Frankie Beverly crowd, though, I mean, come on. Right now, they're eating oatmeal. So.
Well, I'm part of the Frankie Beverly crowd.
Well, that's true. All right. Well, do you like oatmeal? I know I do.
I had to give it up, actually.
Exactly. Oh, you had to give it up?
There's too much, what you call it, too much Roundup in oatmeal.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh.
That's glyphosate. No, that's not good news.
That's not good news. Why are you ruining breakfast, Rob? We're a nighttime show and you're ruining breakfast. This is what we can't have those things.
They'll forget by the time they wake up. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But will I forget, though? No.
Absolutely
not. It's back to the smoothies. Back to the smoothies.
You want? I'll get you some of this the super strength stuff I got in the back. You'll forget about anything.
Forget about everything. The super. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out to. Speaking of super strength, big shout out to Mr. Gene Hopkins and Mr. Grant Lancaster, who won't be joining us this evening. Gentlemen. Other things to do. It's funny talking about Beyonce. Did you see that show Swarm on Amazon?
No.
The miniseries about it was a take on the whole Beyonce craze with Halle Berry, and Halle Berry was in the first episode or the first 2 episodes, and
Halle Bailey or Halle Berry?
I don't know. To me, there's only one Halle Berry, You know, so it's like when somebody comes out with a name like that, I automatically don't like you. You know, she's younger, and she's the younger version, and I guess, like, you know, guys her age can actually vibe with her. But there's only one Halle Berry. There's only one.
All right.
So there's only one HB.
Hallelujah.
I don't have room for another HB in my life. But, you know, she did come out, and she was in that series. And I saw something, because it's like, in regards to everything that was going on with Kiki, you missed the whole Kiki conversation.
I saw a lot of that. That was bad. I feel bad for that brother, but he's young. He'll learn. He'll
learn. You know, she's out for a career. She knows what she's doing and everything. So, and, you know, he got a baby out of it. So, you know, what can he say? You know, anytime you have a kid, the kids are a blessing.
Kids are a blessing. He needs to get custody so he can get some child support.
And speaking
of her career,
speaking
you know,
of Halle
with her
Berry,
driving her career,
she's got
to work too much. Let me take care of it.
Speaking of Halle Berry, and we talking about in terms of, like, that's another one. She's paying to her pretty model boyfriend and her baby daddy and everything. He's I would have never done you like that, Haley. I would have never done you like that. Would have never done you like that, Halle. Never. I might call you the wrong name on accident, but it won't be because I'm cheating. It's just because the world has me all mixed up and confused with all these people trying to replace you. But there's only one you, Halle. There's only one. We do video now, so she can actually see this.
So she can actually see that.
I'm going to actually tag this to her. I'm going to send it to her. That way she can know. Some of our adoring fans, they never in. She might get tired of me pressing that
she's dating Van Hunt now, so I think she's good.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is she? I mean, she's dated other people that were high-profile guys, and we thought she was good, and it didn't work out.
Okay, so you're just putting your bid in. You're just putting your bid in there. Hey, just in case.
I'm just saying I'm around.
You're just saying.
I'm just saying I'm around. She's on my list.
Things happen.
She's on my list. Things happen and everything. We just flip over. Nobody will be mad because it's Halle Berry. We can get mad. And, you know, I'll sign a very generous prenup. Very generous prenup. You won't have to worry about me whatsoever.
Ashes to ashes and dust to dust.
I'll just go away, baby. I'll just go away. The only thing that'll be left will be the memories of our sweet, sweet love. Miss Halle Berry. Miss Halle Berry. I got to give a flyby for that one. Because that's what it is sweet, sweet love. But, you know, that Halle Berry, she's got a boyfriend, much like Kiki's boyfriend. But he's a rapper. And he did a rap song. Did you see that? Did you see that article I had sent to you?
I saw some of the lyrics that he put out in his song. He, you know, I guess A+ for vulnerability. Because you know, his boy's definitely going to be clowning him.
Yeah.
For going out like that. But A+ for vulnerability. And, you know, he's just being honest. Like, you feel how you feel.
Right.
Now, what you do with it, how much of that is hyperbole and art, and how much of that, like, was he really thinking about tweeting something to blow up her game? You know, that might be a little bit of hyperbole.
Well, it's obvious he's not Taylor Swift. Because if he's Taylor Swift, he's number one on the charts right now with that. Because that's how she made a lot of her money, talking about her relationships and her breakups. But it was men.
Yeah, but her audience is into angst.
Yeah.
Is into angst and anxiety. And, you know, a young male rap audience listening to you pine away about the fact that you're intimidated by the people your girlfriend works with, that probably doesn't sell as well.
I don't know. Will it? You know, we're always talking about men's mental health issues and things of that nature. And, you know, that's
and we should be.
Yeah, but that's the first thing that crossed my mind when I saw it. I'm like, he's laying his stuff. And this is strictly from non-judgmental, one way or the other.
Yeah.
I always try to look at things from like a straight perspective before I do anything else. And I thought about it in terms of men's mental health. And for him to come out and express that he's feeling so vulnerable when his woman is out there kissing up on these men and essentially doing her job and bringing her money in, and she was that when he met her.
Yeah.
You know, so he can't really say anything about it. It's sort of like dating a stripper. Can you get mad at the stripper when she comes home after she's been grinding on men's crotches all night? You know, all you can hope is that she doesn't accept the extra money in the champagne room. But it depends.
As Chris Rock said, no matter what a stripper says, there's no sex in the champagne room.
Yeah. I mean, what kind
of? Well, unless of course you're in some grimy place in the Hunts Point Market, then that might be something else.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you're depends on what kind of car you're driving. If she's driving a Benz, and somebody else that works there, working at the club the same amount of time, is driving a Prius. She could one of them could be either more frugal than the other, or one of them can be pulling in extra bonuses.
Doing extra shifts.
So, but, you know, what he's saying is a reality of today. You know, if you're dating, or a reality for him. I won't say today because not many people are going to date somebody who's in that industry.
No, but I mean, it happens in various other ways too. I mean, you have the dude at the club who works, you know, some sort of a blue collar job, steps up, pulls himself a corporate girl, you know. He's crossing some lines sometimes. He's stepping into some situations that make him feel a little bit insecure, that probably make him feel like, I don't know if this is really mine, if I can keep this. I mean, I think that happens a lot more than you think, and it's just not, you know, these people don't have the notoriety, but they're crossing social and economic boundaries. And every time you jump over one of those lines, there's a certain amount of uncertainty that comes along with it. Believe me, I've been in a lot of those rooms, man. I've been that dude.
Yeah,
you know,
which dude?
I'm in that room where, okay, there's 1,100 people in here. There's 4 black guys. I'm one of them. That black guy over there runs a TV news station. That black guy over there is the vice president of SEPTA. That black guy over there is this. I produce a radio show.
Right. But just the simple fact that you're in the room is impressive.
Oh, yeah. But you get that, you know, I can understand how he can be sometimes faced in these situations, be like, do I really belong? Is this really for me? Am I really in this game?
Right.
And wonder why. But I also understand that that's not a conversation that a lot of his boys are ready to have.
Well, I think it's interesting in light of the responses that a lot of the females made in regards to Kiki's outfit and behavior, that she was justified essentially in going out and dressing that way and behaving that way. And she was 100% unapologetic, God bless her, for what she was doing. If that's the way she's feeling, and that's the way she's feeling, there's really nothing more to say about that, because it's really her decision as to how she behaves around when she's not around him.
It is.
But it's got. But
it is her fine ass.
Yeah,
and she can put it on the front page if she wants to.
Beautiful. Hey, and I'm gonna look at it. You know, God bless you. God bless you. You know, I saw her on talking on. She used to have that show with Michael Strahan and the other woman, and they were talking about hanging out, and she was like, I can't hang out with y'all. Like, we're different age groups. She was like, Mike, you're 20 years. You got 20 years on me, you know, but just recognize that if I'm Michael Strahan, I'm saying yes, but I'm still looking at your cheeks there, Kiki, because just because you say I can't, you're wearing something sheer, I'm going to look at them. These are the choices that we make in society when we decide to do X, Y, or Z, but the answers for a lot of the women in regards to this was basically shut these dudes down. They don't have anything to say. You know, and if you're in a situation like you're in those rooms because of who you are and because of what you do and that's part of your job in a lot of instances. But suppose it was your wife or your girlfriend that had brought you to those events. You kind of would rely upon her to present you in a certain way. You know, you want to hold your own in the room, of course, but you would still rely on her to have respect for you. And a lot of the responses indicate that women are 100% believing that they don't have to do that whatsoever. And that's a slippery slope.
That's a Kevin Samuels thing. Like, you ever listen to Kevin Samuels? He talks about the fact that a lot of these modern women, they think if they make more money than you, they don't have to respect you.
Okay.
Money is power, and power equals respect. So if they're making more money than you, if they got more notoriety than you, then they don't have to respect you in that same way, because who are you?
Then why
I could do this on my own.
I'm wondering. I mean, if that's the case, I'm wondering, why do we have all these gender conversations whatsoever? It's clear that gender doesn't matter. It's only finance. So if I'm talking to a woman, the first question I should really ask her is, how much money do you make and how much money do you have? Or forget about how much money do you make, because how much money you make doesn't really matter. It's how much money do you keep. So how much money do you have? Because you can make $200,000 a year and be net $25,000 at the end of the year.
Yeah, be stone cold broke.
Stone cold broke. So if you make that money and you don't actually get to keep any of it, and I'm making, say, $25,000 and I'm keeping 24 of it somehow because I eat all my meals free and stuff, how is that? How does that equate? You understand what I'm saying? It's like we're making.
Yeah, but you know that the woman who's blowing through her money like that is probably attached to material things, and those things inflate her value of self. Her self is based upon the things that she gets, not upon any sort of real base conviction. Right. If you're burning through $200K, you're probably attached to things, and so that's where you're getting your validation from. The fact that his job only pays him, the salary is a reflection of what your earning power, I should say, is a reflection to some people of your value.
So are we? No. So I'm just wondering. Like, I understand exactly what you're saying, but are we having the wrong conversations then? Because it's not really about respect. It's not about love. It's not about the individual. And there's no reason for you to really get into that stuff. I'm saying just cut and dry it. Like, how much money? Like, I know how much I'm making in the next 60 days. I can go out on the market and lead with that. And if I choose, the majority of people that I know are probably not going to make that amount of money in the next 60 days. So does that mean when I talk to a woman,
or in the next 120 or 360 days?
Okay. So listen. So if I sit down and I meet somebody and she's only making $30,000 and she says, "Yeah, well, I have the dreams to," and I turn to her and I say, "Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you what your dreams are." Is she supposed to sit there and take that? Is that respect?
No, because that's also not the male feminine dynamic either.
It isn't.
No, it isn't. Like, you are supposed to, in theory, in the traditional, if everybody dons their traditional garb, you're supposed to make more than her, and your question to her isn't so much what do you make, but how can you make me better?
I mean, that's a logical.
How can you get me to a higher rung on the ladder?
Well, listen, this is a conversation with me and you. I mean, that's a logical response, of course. That's what you and I are going to ask and going to try to find out. But the majority of people, they're not, most women, they think the value is strictly, or a lot of these younger women, they think it's strictly below their waist. They put the value on it. They put the value on it. They put the dollars. If you don't spend it, you don't get it. So if you spend on it and you get it, why respect the rest of it? Why, my whole point, I'm playing devil's advocate here, I am playing devil's advocate here because I'm just trying to show the gap between what a queen is supposed to be and what these chicks is asking for. Because it's like, that's not queens, that's these chicks, that's, you ask them for tricking. It's like tricking has evolved so much. I remember back in the 90s, they started telling people that if you were spending money on women, if you were buying cars and spending money on women and doing all this crazy stuff, then you were pimping. And I was like, no, that's the opposite of pimping. That's literally tricking. And there's this guy, who's that guy that that's made all the news, and the European dude that was pimping all the girls. I don't know. We never covered that social media stuff, but there's this guy that's pimping all these girls, having them do the online sex thing and everything, and he takes half of their money. And he got charged with rape, and they just it's like a big deal with these other people. It's like he's like a big deal, and he's basically pimping women. but he's pimping women in a modern way, in a modern scale. You know, when you make comments like that, I think that you kind of justify dudes like him because you devalue yourself. You put a monetary asset on your ass.
But, you know, and I'm going to sound like an old man here, and you know this because we talk about this all the time, but what are the examples that we're putting out there for our people? Like, what are the shows? What are the messages? What are the movies? What are we putting out there in front of them? Unfortunately, this is the stuff. Like, Beyonce, you would think. I mean, I was sort of overwhelmed, going back to Beyonce for a second. I was sort of overwhelmed with what her crowd was because I didn't really know what to expect from her crowd. I thought it would be younger, to be honest. But it tended to be older. In terms of black women, it tended to be older. The gays were all ages. The LGBTQ community, QIA community was all ages. They were everywhere. But the fact that even Beyonce has to twerk at her age when the crowd goes wild, like, we have let the basest form of entertainment, we have allowed the people with the lowest social economic standing, the people who have mistaken their economic standing for their social standing. You know, they think because they don't have money, they are poor. We've let those people sort of set the standard for what our culture is. You know, young white people do all kinds of dumb shit. At no time will you see that becoming the mainstream culture.
I got to think about that one. You're probably right. Unless they're emulating black people's behavior.
I mean, well,
unless
yeah,
they're emulating
exactly.
black rappers' behavior, you're probably 100% right about that. Yeah, I would agree.
You know, because if you go someplace, you can go to lots of places and see crazy broke white chicks acting just like broke black chicks.
Yeah.
But you're never going to see them in mainstream entertainment. Because they're not going to put that on they're not putting that out front.
They put the best
That's
foot
not
forward.
the best of who they are. Yeah, that's not the best of who they are.
Right. They put the best foot forward. There's so many different issues with our community that are just kind of mixed up. The mixed messages. We have the rap game where everybody's a gangster in the rap game, but I pointed out the other day, there was a thread and it was something about gangs in the cities and everything, and I was like, look, you know, the biggest difference between those gangsters, the John Gottis and stuff like that, and these modern gangsters that we have here and everything is that they didn't let violence happen in their neighborhoods.
Nope.
If you killed somebody in the neighborhood, you would be killed next. And you would probably be killed by somebody that lived next to you or was close to you because it was respect
by a close
for
associate.
the neighborhood. By a close associate. There's no possible way that we're going to be able to fix anything while we have in our own neighborhoods people killing each other in our own neighborhoods. It's just not going to work. It just doesn't work. That's the only thing I can agree with when white people say, well, you have to stop killing each other and everything. Well, it's not any of their business. So that's that's really where it fucking...
But the thing is, and I was watching something about this the other day, the numbers are like 81% of white people are killed by another white person.
Okay.
Like 89% of black people are killed by another black person. It's not like we're killing each other at this ridiculously higher rate.
Right.
Like crimes tend to be local.
Right. People kill people that they know.
People kill people that they know, and for the longest time, they didn't put their laundry out on the front step. So a crime in our community was blasted on the front page, and you got pictures of the perpetrator, you got pictures of the victim. Crime in their community, they didn't have a picture of the perpetrator, you know, and you got a shot from across the street of the grieving family, but they weren't up in their face going, tell us about this awful tragedy.
Right. Well, even more recently here on Long Island, I don't know how up you are on what's been going over locally here, but they got the Gilgo Beach killer, supposedly. Did you read anything about that?
I've been reading about that. I thought they were going to get Joe Arena, but I was wrong.
I thought it was him, too. You know, that was my money. You know, I've always thought that he was up to something for, like, ever. And, you know, I don't care if you're listening or not, Joe. You know how I feel. But,
what's going on, brother?
What's going on, Joe? We've had that thing running. That's your boy. But they, the neighborhood it happened in, Massapequa. Massapequa is cop city. A lot of New York City police officers make their homes in Massapequa. I remember during the pandemic, do you remember when I had the online store? And we actually got some of the last Lysol wipes before everything shut down completely. We got the last shipment. It was the last day we got the last shipment. And they were $30-something for each one. So I went to go donate some of them. And, of course, the police and ambulance people from Massapequa, they asked for the donation or whatever. So we ended up giving them the donation. But it was such a negative type of vibe because here it is, me and her, we went out and we did this thing and they're looking at us ugh.
Exactly. You crossed the line, homie.
Yeah. They're ugh. You have the nerve to be donating to us and all we do is we basically kill you and beat you and everything.
Exactly.
That was it was not spoken, and I'm not saying, but it's just basically the type of feeling that was in the air. It wasn't
the energy that they give.
The energy that they give is bad. And this is where it actually happens. And, first of all, they've had a theory on those murders that it's more than one person. That there's a big theory that there's more than one guy. And this guy could just be the one that's taking the fall. Because there's no possible way you get away with all the stuff that they did without a network of people. This is a network of people that have been doing this for a while. So, but it's in Massapequa. And same thing with the guy who choked out the guy on the LIRR, Daniel Penny. That was big news a couple of weeks ago. You don't hear anything about that whatsoever. Why don't you hear anything about that whatsoever? West Islip, another town where a lot of police officers live. And also, that guy's father is one of the top police in New York State. He's one of the top cops in New York State. So everything, if you notice the way that went through, smooth. They let the media run its course for a couple of days. They brought him in there quietly. He got to make a statement. He had a whole friggin' interview. You can watch the interview of this guy. And now it's just dissipated because they're just setting it up for later on when it comes back and he gets a suspended sentence. These are the neighborhoods where the most dangerous criminals live. A lot of these people, it's unfortunate. Listen, this is not to say that all police officers are murderers or but they are basically loyal and they do keep their mouths shut.
If you keep up the blue wall of silence when you know somebody's done wrong, then you're just as bad as they are. You're an accessory after the fact. At least that's what you would charge somebody else on the outside with.
That's what I would get charged with.
Yeah.
That's what I would get charged with. But there's no balance with that. But these places that they're doing these things, it's right underneath their noses. But that's not going to get that person, that killer in Massapequa, who knows how many girls he's actually killed over the years. How many women come to Long Island and come over to the shores and go over to the beaches and hang out? It's so easy for them to just disappear. And that's the reason why they got away with it for so long. There's no possible way it's just him. No possible way it's just him. That's a problem. That's a neighborhood you don't have to worry about black people moving in your neighborhood there. If they're smart, they don't want to live there. Because who's most likely to get disappeared? If you can disappear your own neighbor and nobody say anything, what can you do with me?
Anything you want.
Anything you want. Disappear me, keep the house open, throw your parties in my house. What do I know? I'm underneath the sand. It's just the way the world is. So that's just a conspiracy theory. And speaking of conspiracy theories, that's the only thing that's going on in this world right now is a bunch of conspiracy theories on TV because it's too damn hot to do anything else. I don't care where you live right now. You understand the words heat wave, don't you? You understand the words heat wave.
it's warm. I'm not a big believer in complaining about the weather.
No?
No. No, 'cause I can't do anything about it.
No. But it's a conspiracy theory that global warming is something that's going on. And
well, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact of life. Global warming is going on.
It depends on who you talk to.
It depends on whose facts you want to believe.
Yeah, who do you believe? Who do you listen to? If you listen to certain people, there's no such thing. If you pay attention to science, then it's a very real thing. So conspiracy theories is something that we born into politics recently. And normally if we had a full show, we'd probably be off on a tangent by now. Somebody would have said something like really crazy. So today we're going to stick to a more strict script. So what do you know about RFK Jr., Rob? Have you seen anything about this guy?
I saw that statement that he tried to make some nonsense science the other day. He's talking about the COVID and how bioengineered and only affects certain people because of the receptors, whatever. Yeah, he's not doing the Kennedy name any favors.
I had to go and check a clip to make sure he wasn't wearing a dashiki when he said that. Because I'm thinking that he's pandering for votes right now. He's trying to get the black Israelites on board with that one.
I can't believe that they're that big. I can't believe they're that big a voting bloc.
Well, you never know. Listen, there's a lot of corners. There's a lot of corners.
There's a lot of corners, but there ain't a lot of brothers on the corners.
Well, why? Because it's hot. Because it's hot. But we naturally Africans.
That never stopped them before.
Exactly. So I don't know why. It's a voting bloc. Maybe he's trying to get the pro-black vote. He's trying to get the hoteps. So, that's what he's out there doing. But
okay.
I had to check the video to see if he was wearing a dashiki because, he said it was the Jews. He said it was going after the Jews, and it was the Chinese people who did that at the same time. So I guess he could have also been wearing a Klan hat. That's one of those. It's one of those things, sort of like that thing when they had the clip about evangelicals and Muslims. I hate women too. They should wear clothes. They should just wear clothes. I believe in abortion. I also believe in abortion, and they end up making out at the end. That's sort of like this is just the irony of life, because these are areas where black nationalists, or I don't know if you want to, I don't even like those terms. I don't like that term. So let's just say like somebody that would wear a dashiki. You define it any way you want to wear it. Talking about whatever you're going to talk about. So someone in a dashiki, and also Klans people would feel that Ashkenazi Jews and possibly Chinese people were out to get everybody during COVID. And this is one of his running points. But he speaks a lot of different things he speaks about a lot of different conspiracy theories. Those aren't the only ones. Is he really not doing the Kennedy name good, or is he trying to basically clean up or go a little bit further with the Kennedys than the Kennedys would have done or would have liked?
I mean, time will tell. In October of 2020 or December of 21, if you weren't taking the shot, you're ridiculous. 2 years later, we know that shot really wasn't all it was hyped up to be. They pushed it in the market too quickly, and it wasn't exactly the cure-all that they said it was, and it probably could have waited. We'll see how, some of these things come to bear.
It's ruined lives. It ruined lives. And RFK is trying to see if he can ruin his. But then again, he doesn't really have a chance. Go ahead.
It ruined lives and the Nets.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have a chance to win national office, but...
my Nets. Why do you got to bring up my boys, man? Why you got to bring it up? COVID hurts.
You said it ruined lives, and that was, they made all those moves. They hit the big three. It was gonna be a thing.
All they had to do was play Kyrie on road games. That's it. And show that they supported him a little bit. Didn't want to do it. That management style of like trying to make players be slaves for your money. And I don't care how much money it is. It's like if you're pushing somebody around, it's the same thing as me telling that Joe Tsai's got $1 billion. If he's basically doing the same thing I'm doing to the chick in the bar that only makes $20,000. I don't care about what your dreams are right now. Just shut up and just go prepare yourself. Go upstairs and take a shower, wait for me to come up. That was the same type of situation. Nobody likes that.
No, nobody likes that, but at the same time, nobody likes paying, what was Kyrie making to make that choice?
Like $37.1 million.
If you're paying somebody $37.1 million to do something, and there's at the time, we've all been brought up, the school system teaches nothing if it doesn't teach obedience and conformity. And here was a prime example. Like in this moment, we needed obedience and conformity. And for $37.5 million, Joe Tsai thought he had got at least a little bit of that. And what he got was a free thinker. And that's not what he was paying for.
Do we need more obedience and conformity now?
Oh, absolutely not. But that's in those moments, like that's what they were selling. Like that's the situation that had been created. Like I don't want to say right, wrong. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying if you look at how it was being pitched and marketed in that moment, there was a hysteria. There was a moonshot. We're going to get a vaccine for this thing in a record time. And they were going to get it whether it worked or not. They were getting there whether it works or not. I want it up there and I want it out there. And we'll figure it out afterwards.
We don't care how many people died.
They did.
I mean, look, Hank Aaron died. Man. I'm still waiting for the tributes to Hank Aaron. But it's just like it got completely and totally skipped over because of how he died. He took the shot one day. He died a couple of days later.
But he had also not been well for a while.
That's true. This is true.
I mean, Hank had been bouncing back and forth, and he's an old dude.
Yeah, but he got that little nudge though. There's just a little nudge that you need.
But one of my favorite stories. There's a cat that I used to work with, and I'm gonna leave his name out of it. But he was supposed to be doing an event at the office.
I know who you're talking about.
I walk in the door at 10 o'clock. I walk in the door at 10 o'clock in the morning, and somebody says, "Hey, do you know where such and such is?" I'm like, "No, he's supposed to be doing. No, he's not there." So I pick up my cell and immediately dial this brother up. "Hey, man, what's going on?" "Hey, how you doing, man? What's going on?" "Hey, aren't you supposed to be at X, Y, and Z?" "Oh, yeah, man. Hank's sick. I had to go down to Atlanta." "What?" "Yeah, man, Hank's sick. He wasn't feeling all that well, so I had to pop down to Atlanta, and see my boy." Like, what does Hank being sick have to do with you not being here at work where you're supposed to be?
Right.
Like, how are those two connected?
I know who you're telling that story about.
Didn't matter.
You told me numerous very funny stories about that same gentleman before.
Oh, that's my boy. I love him to death, but he's a fool. But, this is going back. This got to be going back to like 2012 or 2013. So, I mean, so Hank's had some illnesses.
He's perpetually sick.
The shot may have pushed him over. Not that he's perpetually sick, but he's an older brother. He made some money. So, he was eating some red meat. He was living high on the hog for a while, so he got he got all the diseases that we get.
That red meat is a killer. It really is. It's a killer. I'm learning that now in my old age. Hopefully I've stopped long enough. But I mean, this COVID thing, the shot, and just like, you make a good point about the conformity. And there's no better place in sports for conformity than the NFL. And I'm upset today because I'm looking at my Giants just flushing my season down the toilet from what I've seen. Not signing Saquon Barkley and making him sign that franchise tender. And that franchise tender, if people don't know what that is, it allows a team to hold up a player for a certain amount of money. And the idea behind running backs is that they're basically year to year. They're a crapshoot after year 4, year 5. So what the Giants are betting is that they're betting against their player by not signing him to a long-term contract. and they're making a statement in their locker room that they're going to do business the business way. Where does the balance between like a team sport? When do fans recognize the difference between a team doing what's best for the team and a player doing what's best for the player? Because generally in these like standoffs, the player is the one that takes the biggest battering. He's the one that gets the bad rap. But if you're talking about a running back, the reason why they have such short careers is because they take the brunt of the beatings. They take the brunt of the beatings. It's a debilitating job. So $10.1 million in New York is basically like 6 or 5 after taxes. He's going to have to live after that.
Yeah.
Is it really is it a fair thing? If it were me, honestly, if I'm Saquon Barkley, I don't show up until week 10. I don't show up until week 10. And I play the last 8 games of the season and possibly playoffs. If the Giants do that far, no possible way they make the playoffs if he sits out till week 10. No possible way they make the playoffs with that record, with that schedule. So the way I see it is that essentially in order to save a couple of shekels, they've like thrown the season away. And how do you tell a guy that there's anything? How do businesses foster loyalty in individuals and people when you're making these hardline decisions? And especially, they don't.
That's evidence that analytics is taking over. Like when they start, like every team in the NFL is starting to do that now. They're starting to make through the equation that running backs aren't that valuable. They've devalued the running back position. That's analysts. Those are people who are doing the risk management charts.
Right.
And the NFL is the only sport really where management really holds all the cards. Mm-hmm. They really do, because contracts aren't fully guaranteed.
Right.
So if you're a player, like for Saquon's own best interest, he probably needs to sit out and then just basically audition the last 6 weeks of the season for his next career, for his next thing, but only put his body through 6 weeks of hell and not 16 weeks, which if you get hurt during those 16 weeks, there's no next contract.
There isn't. There really isn't.
So now you got to protect your body.
I mean, to me personally, I feel like if the reasoning that they use is that it's now running back by committee. So if I'm Saquon, I'm like, listen, you guys don't want to sign me long term, then this has to be running back by committee now, because there's no reason for me to throw my body in front of a 250-pound man who runs a 4.5, coming off the edge with a clean block, cleanly. And you want me to throw my body into this person for the sake of the team? Nah, you get Matt Breida out there for that. Get that rookie out there. Let him pick up that protection. You want me out here? You want me to be a decoy? You're going to have me as a run decoy. I'm going to fake the ball, get into the middle of the line, and then say, hey, guys, I don't have the ball, and I'm out of the play. That's it. That's what you forced to, this is like, to me, what they did with this contract was they took Saquon Barkley, a guy who will drop his head, do anything for the team, and they turned him into Tiki Barber. So now you're getting down that sideline, you're stepping out. Don't get that extra yard. That extra yard isn't worth it.
No, it's not.
It's not worth it. Has no value.
Like, you've reminded him that it's a business now.
Right.
Like a guy who might have been still playing for the love, now he's playing because it's a business.
My problem with people is that people don't seem to recognize the correlation between that and how that's actually being brought down into their own personal jobs and workplaces. Whereas you used to have some type of value as a delivery person or a data entry person, and now they have a computer that actually does that. They have AI that's coming in, and AI is trying to take your job.
Yeah, it is.
People in your industry are in danger. Your voice is in danger of being printed for the future. And people, AI is great. All I see all day long with all my business stuff that I have online is like, you need to get on this AI train. If you want to sell things online, you got to have AI, because AI is going to speak in the tone and get the people and reach the people that they need to reach in order to sell products to. This is what they're doing now. And it's no different than Saquon Barkley being replaced by 2 or 3 guys. And what it does is that it actually lowers the expectations. You know, the Giants, they saved probably about $3 million, but they lowered the expectations for the team for the year.
They've disappointed their fan base for $3 million. They've alienated one of their stars and probably a couple other stars, because the guys whose contracts are up next year are looking and seeing how the Giants handled this one and going, oh, shit, this is going to be all about my numbers here. Yeah. So now guys got to get a little bit selfish. Mm-hmm. You know, instead of being we, they're looking at me, because that's how the team is looking at it. That's how the organization's looking at it.
Mm-hmm. But we're
they've made a mess.
Yeah, we're a front-running society, though. We got these guys from Buffalo because they almost beat Pat Mahomes and those guys, and now they come down here to New York and they implement that same system. But the problem is they still haven't won. They haven't won anything in Buffalo. They haven't won in Buffalo. So, and now they're actually talking about their team is going to be on a downturn if they don't win something this year. And they're all making these plans based upon, when I say a front-running society, they're all making these plans based upon, well, look, Kansas City, they've had the same guy at running back all through the season. But that team has Mahomes at quarterback. You don't really need too much if you got Mahomes there.
You're at a great advantage with him behind this. Like, football is the great equalizer. I always say that to people. Like, you could have the best player on the planet and lose every game in football. Mm-hmm. Whereas you can win some basketball games. You got the best player on the planet. You can win some basketball games you shouldn't. You got the right pitcher, you're going to win some games in baseball that, you know, like every 5th day, like, all right, we got a chance. But it doesn't matter. You could have, in football, you could have the 2 best players on the planet and still lose every game.
But Pat Mahomes, would you say that he's an outlier to that?
Even he, like, when he put in a masterful performance in the Super Bowl, I'm sure whatever that shot they gave him was marvelous at halftime. But even he's got people around him. It's more than just Pat Mahomes. He can make things happen because he's got people around him. Like, if you're good, he can make you great. That's what Pat Mahomes gives you.
Right.
If you're great, he can make you excellent.
Right.
That's what he gives you.
Well, what they're saying now is that no running back is ever going to be that situation, that player again. They've given up on that position, and now you can only do it with quarterbacks and wide receivers. Running backs are an outlier. I think it's just like
until another GM comes in who drafts himself the next, Barry Sanders, and then, runs for 1,200 yards, and everybody's going to be like Bear Bryant. We got to go get one of those.
They're going to franchise that guy too. They're going to make him the workhorse. They've determined that they're going to keep these guys salaries low. Don't let your sons grow up to be running backs, is what it comes down to. I don't like the usage of it. I don't like the way it is, and it shows. But it's sports is a messaging system. And that's a message sent out to the society that no matter how flashy you are, no matter how good you are, you're only going to make this amount of money. And that's kind of going over. The reason why I mention that is because it carries over into a lot of different things. They're taking a lot of ladders. This thing with the actors strike. Go ahead.
Well, did you see the Disney guy, Bob Iger, did an interview last week. He's the head of Disney, and he was talking about the strike, and he used some poor word choices, but here's a guy who's making in excess of $20 million a year in stocks and whatever, and who's saying that these people are driving the industry into the ground, that the union has run the industry in the ground. Like, no, it's all the execs making $20 million plus a year who are driving it into the ground.
Right.
Like, 80% of the union members don't even make enough money to qualify for health insurance here, which means they don't even make $25,000 a year.
Right.
So those people asking for more money is not what's driving you into the ground and is not what's going to sink your company. The bloated executive wing and all the perks that you guys get, that is a good place to start.
The non-talent.
Yes.
But we're in a world where we're actually trying to monetize the talent. We're taking the talent. These are the commodities. So you're always going to have a purpose, but the purpose is one that they choose for you. And this whole actors strike, they're taking away the money. The way I see it is like all of the ladders that used to lead upwards in the society have all been burnt. The top rungs have been burned or cut down. So you can never reach the top. If you climb, you're going to be stuck at a wall. It reaches a wall, but it doesn't reach that top rung where you can pull yourself up, because there are all these different barriers across the world that have been set up to stop people from actually climbing. It's never going to happen. And the reason why I mention that is that, you and I both know that the majority of people are never going to see things like that. We're never going to come up with an industry or an idea that is like Famous Amos cookies that's going to put you in another tax bracket completely and totally. The majority of people are never going to do something like that. They're never going to build a Nabisco. They're not going to build the cereal. You can make as many online things that you want and everything. There's a limit to how much money you can make on that. You buy the products from here, you have them packaged into your name there, and then you sell it. But ultimately, the lion's share is still going back to the Fat Cat. They're still actually manufacturing everything. What do you do if you want to make a perfume? You want to make a wine. Rob, you and I want to start a wine company, right? What's our first step?
We probably got to communicate with a wine company and see who we can buy grapes from.
Right.
Either that, or we got to buy land so we can start growing grapes.
Right.
Which means, there's a high barrier to entry there, because how much does it cost to buy land in Sonoma or the Willamette Valley?
The majority of people, they go out and they partner with a vineyard.
Yeah.
And they they basically white label an existing wine or an existing product. But at the end of the day, you're still sharing profits with the guy who owns the vineyard. The guy who owns the vineyard continues to own the product. As long as your marketing is fine, then you are something. But as soon as your marketing goes out, then somebody else is going to get your white label. They're going to get your production. They're going to get your numbers. And those people are still going to continue to be exactly what it is. People don't see the trick, or they don't care to see the trick, or they're happy with it the way it is, or they're just too stupid to see it. I don't know. I did it again. I'm sorry. Call people stupid. Oh, well.
You spent a lot of time in the beginning of the program saying, I'm not judging, and then you judged.
Yeah.
It happens.
I'm doing around the sound effects right now, Rob, because you're 110% right. I tried. I'm working on it. I'm working on getting better. Try to pull some more people into the world of common sense so we can actually see where these BS-like holes are. AI is not the answer. It's not going to help you. It's not going to change anything. Racism and fighting with people is not the answer. It's just not. The world is run by despots right now, and money still rules. And war is a way of life. War is a way of life. If it wasn't for this war in Ukraine is good for the United States economy. Just
certain elements of it.
Yeah. Who's building the bombs? Who's getting paid? Who's building the bombs? It's American jobs. It's American jobs. It's the only thing that's not outsourced, because they can't have those motherboards built in China. So it's the only thing that's still here. So it's a way of life. Taking life actually feeds life. They would call that the circle of life. And RFK Jr. will tell you all about it. RFK Jr., the way I see it, this guy, I think he's going, you said he's not doing the Kennedy name much good. I think that he's probably picking up where some of the Kennedys would have definitely disagreed. Because when we talk about good in the Kennedys, these are the same people that pissed off their friends in the mafia by doing different things, but one of their greatest allies was Frankie Sinatra. And Frankie Sinatra did not like the fact that Sammy Davis Jr. was not invited to that wedding.
Yeah, he didn't like it, but not enough not to show up.
Yeah, he showed up, but there was bad blood.
Yeah, there was some bad blood.
There was bad blood.
And there continued to be bad blood.
Until the day that he was...
Well, then, the old man was very politically savvy. And the old man really sort of massaged that whole thing because he got what he needed out of Frank. Then he got Frank as far away from John as he could.
Right. And he ended up in the end with 2 dead sons.
Yeah.
So, there are lessons to be learned. When people get pissed off, this is what generally happens. People end up dead. Muerte. It's over. So I think RFK Jr., what he's doing is by trying to make friends with the black guys now, by saying these things, he's trying to actually bridge that gap. Hey, he's saying that, listen, I was just a kid. I would have invited Sammy to the wedding.
Really? No. Changing the topic quickly before I forget, because that's where my head is today. Saw some pictures online of Minister Farrakhan at a wedding. I believe it was one of his kids' wedding. Okay. And he looked like he was, having some problems with his mobility. Looked like his attendants were really making sure they didn't fall forward, backwards, whatever. And I know I've said some mean things about the minister in the past, but as much as I question some elements of his story, the brother has held steadfast for our people for a long time, and he has spoken truth in times and places where others would not. So I always have to give him his respect for that.
Right on.
And making sure that I put that energy out there into the universe while he is still here on this plane to receive some of those vibrations.
Right on.
He has been our champion for a long time, and regardless of what other morasses he has walked into,
things hot buttons he has pushed. Things you may just disagree with.
It might just be a disagreement, and a lot of it is. But yeah, got to give him his props. And I hate to see people, mighty oaks in their last days when all of a sudden they're, susceptible to the whims of the winds.
People come in and try to knock them down, try to kick them.
Yeah,
try to kick them.
That's a dude we shouldn't let people kick in the end.
I mean, listen, there's many different, there's many different black people. RFK Jr. is one of them, but what's that guy? Cornelius West.
Dr. Cornel West.
Cornel West, yes. He's also running for president right now. And he said some straight up buffoonish stuff recently.
Wow.
He's said some positive things. There's been some great positive things that have come from Dr. Cornel West. And then there's been some absolutely ridiculous stuff that's come out of his mouth.
That's a smart brother. He might be too smart for his own good. I'll tell you what about his run for presidency. He doesn't have to go get on the treadmill and start, getting in shape for this run. Ain't gonna last that long.
Yeah.
He don't gotta get a good wind.
But you know what though? The brother likes to hear himself talk, so he's gonna be around for it. He's gonna be around for a minute. But like my whole point with him,
and nobody's gonna put any money behind him.
But listen, my whole point with him, the Dr. Umars of the world, I won't even. I was thinking about someone that was so bad that I can't even say his name because I don't even want to give him any type of light. But there's another minister I was thinking about. But as I'm thinking about his name, I'm thinking, fuck that guy. But there are people out there that we disagree with. And we may disagree with how they go about doing their things. We may disagree with different parts of their personal lives, their personal decision-making. We have different upbringings. We are not a monolith and everything. But it's okay to criticize each other. It's not okay to fucking try to murder each other, metaphorically or personally. It's just like there's no wins in that game. I don't understand what the wins are and everything. If someone can come up here and they can explain it to me, I'd be more than happy to let them have a platform and explain to me why destroying bonds and relationships between black men and women is something that's important to them in order for them to get their point across or to get their things done. And I mean this like in the most stringent of ways, especially when we talk about people like conservative Republicans who have a way of attacking other black people who have less than them in order to make their points and to make their bones and to get their money and everything. Those are the only people that I feel like, and I'm just choosing that ideology because they exist in both Democratic and quote unquote Republican form. You know, those are the only ones that I basically think it's okay to take out to the back and do whatever you're going to do. You know, but I'm going to get away from the more colorful metaphors about it. Mr. Robert Brooks, thank you once again for showing up on the 13th episode of Born in Trouble. You have anything you'd like to say on your way out the door?
This was lucky number 13? This
was lucky number 13, brother.
I got to remind me next time I talk to you, I'm in the middle of sampling a product right now that there's this veteran-owned company out in California. Guy was Marine Special Forces and got fed up with how his boys, when they came back home, were getting treated and what their options were. And so he connected with a cannabis company, and
that's what's up.
They make their own products now, and I was able to check some out. And it's. Hey, I almost want to get a store just so I can sell some of his product, just so I can tell his story.
That's what's up.
And get him out there.
That's what's up. No. We are definitely a cannabis.
But they use the profits to fund cannabis research.
Well, we are definitely a cannabis-friendly podcast and group.
That's right. We buy black cannabis whenever possible.
Whenever possible. Born in Trouble, 13th episode. Everybody out there, y'all have a good night. Deuces. Peace.
Why are you telling everybody to take a dump?